been perusing the cruise news over the last few weeks, I keep seeing a reoccurring type article. I haven't got my cruise refund yet. I haven't got the money back. I haven't got the future cruise credit. And it's got me thinking, is that the case for everybody? In today's episode of the Lido Loca Cruise Show, let's talk about cruise refunds. And I got a little bit of cruise news. Interesting stuff. A tale of two cities. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host Tony. If you enjoyed that cruise and travel content, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. Well, look, I've had 4 cruises canceled, probably will be 5 before it's all over, and I've got some refund stories to tell you. But first, I got 3 brief news stories. First, let's talk about Viking Ocean Cruises, Viking Cruises in general. They've canceled 2020. They've finally given it up and said we're not going to do anything in 2020, just making the announcement yesterday that they're going to hold till 2021 before they even try. I do think that this statement from the chairman sums it up. This gentleman, Torsten Hagen, he said, I would not have imagined in August we would still not be sailing and that I would be writing this letter. We're with you, Torsten. We did not imagine that in August we would still not be sailing. But he points out that they're a small, privately owned company. There's no motivation for stockholders. There's no motivation for any of those financial reasons to keep pushing these cancellations. They've got the money. They can hang out until 2021. And so they're shutting down the operation. They're not going to offer any sailings in 2020. They're going to wait till 2021. And look, most of the cruise lines, we saw it yesterday with Holland America. We've seen it with Princess. They're saying they're not going to sail till December the 15th. Is that really much of 2020 anyways? Maybe it's time that everybody just takes the rest of 2020 off. It's not happening yet. I still have a cruise scheduled at the early December for Royal Caribbean, but we'll see how that goes. But Viking taking the time off, not going to sail until 2021. If you're booked on those cruises, reach out to Viking or your travel professional. They got some benefits for either taking the refund or the future cruise credit. And now a tale of 2 cities. Okay, maybe it's a city and a country. One, the city doesn't want cruise ships to come anymore and they're finally getting their way. And another one, a country who's pushed back against cruising in the past, now would like to see cruising return. First, let's talk about Venice, Italy. This started well before the outbreak, well before the virus. Some of the citizens in Venice were none too pleased with cruise ships coming to Venice. There was a crash there at the docks. They complained about the pollution, the deterioration of monuments in the city, just an overall congestion of the city. And there's been a very vocal group for the last couple of years pushing against cruise ships coming to Venice. And they're getting pretty hardcore about it as cruising starts to resume with Costa and MSC. There were people in Venice saying, look, we'll go out and we'll block the ships. We'll block the lagoon. That's what they call the little area that the ships come into. We'll go out there and we'll put our boats together and we'll make a blockade. They have to run us over. Well, the cruise lines, they've listened to all this and they said, you know what, it's not worth the hassle. Both Costa and MSC, they removed Venice from their itinerary. So for now, the people in Venice getting their way, no cruise ships going to Venice in the near future as cruising resumes in Italy. Now to the country that wants cruises to come back. Of course, we're talking about the Bahamas. Again, this was a story that transcends the virus. Famously there, the tourism minister, Dionisio D'Aguilar, has been a little hot and cold when it comes to cruise passengers. There was a time where he was saying we don't get enough from cruise passengers. We don't care if the cruise passengers come. They're not spending enough money when they come to Nassau. We get a pittance from the cruise line. Why are we even doing this? That was his story prior to the shutdown. And now he's saying, look, y'all should come on back to Nassau and not your private islands. Yeah, that's the discussion that's going on. A lot of the talk that's been bandied around lately as well, a lot of these cruise lines, they have private island space in the Bahamas. Don't worry about going to the population areas. Let's just go to the private islands. We can control that area. We can take care of our business. We can offer our cruise passengers time off the cruise ship. And the tourism minister, Mr. D'Aguilar, is saying, au contraire, mon frère. That's what he would say if he spoke French. But he's saying, no, we need to encourage, in quotations, we need to encourage the cruise ships to come to the population centers so that they can bolster the local economy. They shouldn't be encouraged just to go to their private islands. He's even pitching itineraries. Start those 3-day sailings, come to Nassau, go to your private island, go back to Florida. It'll be a win-win situation. I get it. Times are tough. Economies are beaten down, especially tourist economies. And so it makes sense that he would be fighting to get that tourism dollars to land in the cities where the people are. It'll be interesting to see if the cruise lines go for it. Especially in the past where some of the rhetoric was a little less than welcoming. Will this change of tone bring cruise ships quicker back to the populated areas of the Bahamas? Only time will tell. All right, so let's talk about future cruise credit. Let's talk about refunds. That's the question you face as a cruiser who has booked a cruise in the future that's gotten canceled. Do you take the refund or do you take the future cruise credit? There's two schools of thought here. Get your money back, put it in the bank. That way the cruise line's not holding on to it, or let the cruise lines hold on to it, continue to do business, and maybe cancel your next cruise. And maybe at some point that money goes away altogether. That's an extreme version of that thinking, but that's out there and that's possible. And then beyond that decision, there are people that have taken the refund that said, look, we've never got our money. Where is our money? It's been months. It's been past the 90 days that you talked about. Where is our money? I want to talk about that today. I'll share my personal experience. We had an interesting situation with some cruise money I'll share with you that I've never talked about before. And I'm curious as to what your circumstance is. But we've had 4 cruises that have been canceled. We have 1 more that's out there in the lurch for 2020. And let me give you a quick breakdown of what happened. Our first cruise that canceled was a cruise on the NCL Breakaway. This was in March of 2020. We got this cruise with My Vegas points. We got a free cruise playing the My Vegas app. I have a video on how to get free cruises playing the My Vegas app. I will leave that linked above. Make sure you check that out. That cruise was canceled in early March, and essentially since the only thing we had in it was the My Vegas points, we requested the point return from My Vegas. We got that almost immediately. We did have one weird thing that happened with this cruise. I'll share that with you after I get through the other ones. Okay, the second one that we had canceled was our Princess Alaska cruise. I believe that was in June. That was Don Terrace from Don's Family Vacations group cruise. That cruise was canceled. We immediately asked for a cash refund, and about the time that cruise went, about 2 weeks after that cruise would have went, we got our refund back. So we didn't wait very long. We had to wait for it to cancel. Like, we kind of felt like it wasn't going to go, but we still had to wait for it to cancel, those rolling cancellations. But pretty quickly after it canceled, and then after the date that cruise would have sailed, we got our money back. We got the refund back to our form of payment. The third one that we had cancel was a cruise in July out of New Orleans. This was on Royal Caribbean's Majesty of the Seas. It was one of those deals too where the cruise hadn't canceled yet. Final payment date was there. It was iffy whether or not the cruise was going to go. I kind of felt like it wasn't going to go, but it was a group cruise, so we had to pay it off because if it would have went, we couldn't, we could not be there with everybody that was going on the group cruise. So we paid that off, and then when it did cancel, we requested the cash refund, and then the cash refund came probably within 6 weeks from Royal Caribbean. Now the fourth one for us that is canceled just happened. This was our October the 24th cruise on the Carnival Breeze. This just canceled last week. So this one we're going to take a future cruise credit and the OBC benefit, the $600 onboard credit. We're going to move that to a future cruise. They do not stack the OBC, so we have a group cruise that's coming up on the Mardi Gras next year on a Carnival ship, but we're already getting onboard credit because of that. And so we will probably move this future cruise credit to another Carnival cruise that we're not getting onboard credit. It's complicated. I'm glad my wife's a travel agent and knows the ins and outs of this. But yes, so for the Carnival Breeze that canceled, we will be taking a future cruise credit and the onboard credit. We did purchase Faster to the Fun as an excursion. That's the way they sell Faster to the Fun. We have not got that money back yet. But again, that cancellation just happened last week. And then our last cruise that we have scheduled for 2020 is in early December on Royal Caribbean's Allure of the Seas. Cruising could resume. CLIA's voluntary ban of sailing, that ends on October the 31st. So technically cruises could start November the 1st. Of course, the CDC no-sail order ends at the end of September. If that's not renewed, then there could be a clear path for cruising. So technically, that cruise is still on the books. As it gets closer to that cruise time and as it gets closer to the final final payment date. I don't particularly want to do the final payment on it. The cool thing that Royal Caribbean has right now is a lift and shift. In reality, we could move that cruise to December 2021 for no cost, no penalty, and actually extend when we pay that cruise off. We won't have to pay it off on its normal payoff date. We'll move that out into 2021. I anticipate that's what we're going to do with that cruise. So if you tally that up, we've gotten our initial money back on 3 cruises that were canceled. We got the future cruise credit and the OBC benefit on the 4th cruise that was canceled, and we will probably lift and shift the 5th cruise. Now, the weird thing that happened on the Norwegian cruise, we got that cruise for free, but we went ahead and we put a bid in for an upgrade. We were in an interior, we wanted a balcony, so we put a $200 bid in on that. So the interesting thing is you supply them with a form of payment. So that cruise canceled on a Thursday or a Friday. The following Monday, our credit card got dinged for that $200 upgrade, and we got an email that said, your upgrade has been approved. Your upgrade has been approved on the cruise that was canceled. Just know that somebody that lives in my house that's from Long Island, New York was hot. And so she got on the phone and got that refund coming. They didn't even want to really give the refund. They just wanted to move that or make it a future cruise credit. In reality, it was just shocking that that money got charged. We got a refund back finally, but it took a long time to get the refund of that $200 for something that I don't feel like should have been charged anyways. Isn't that kind of wacky? Like the cruise cancels and then they approve your upgraded room? So that brings us to the question, are you waiting on a refund or did you get a refund back? If you could please put in the comments, yes, you got it, or no, you didn't. I really want to get a sense of what's going on because I am only seeing these news stories where people are advocating for refunds, and I don't know that if that's the true story, if that's leaving out a lot of people that this worked well for. I would be an example of somebody that it worked out well for. I got the money back that I spent. I'm not really waiting on anything. I just want to know if I'm in the minority of that. Leave a comment below. Boom! I just hit you with the cruise news. Hit me back. Show support by hitting the like button, subscribing if you haven't. This is Tony with the Lido Loca Cruise Show, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.